Hey everybody, what's up? We just got back from seeing the Toy Story 3 midnight showing, and if it's alright with you guys, we would actually like to start this review off with a message to Pixar.
The Toy Story movies have meant a lot to us growing up. We identify with the character of Andy because he's our age.
And he aged with us.
And he aged with us. After 11 long years, we finally get to see how it all ends, and at the end of the movie, I felt like I've been given a big hug by the creators, and it was very special.
Probably the best hug I've gotten in all my life. I'm gonna cry. In all seriousness, I think I speak for both of us when I say that I really hope someone at Pixar sees this review at some point so that they know that I honestly would love to give them a huge hug right back. And that being said, let's review Toy Story 3. Just so you guys know, there are absolutely no spoilers in this review until the end. We will announce the spoilers, so don't worry about it. I swear there are no spoilers in this until the end.
How about we start from the short?
Okay, so we'll start this review actually with the short, which was called Night and Day, I believe.
Yes.
Yes.
It was really spectacular. A lot of people really just want to see the movie, but I was completely patient because I was entertained.
I was looking forward to the short. I always look forward to the short.
The theatrical experience, it was like a 4-course meal.
What are the courses? You got the appetizer is the short, the main dish is the Toy Story 3. What are the other two?
I guess my popcorn and my drink.
You're reaching. You're stretching.
It was very good. It was new. It was a little risky even. Like, it seems like they took a very
possibly controversial
move. And I had faith from the start because Pixar has always had such a great way of communicating to the audiences without patronizing or
it's honest. It's very honest. It was awesome. I was thinking, I was like, this is great. Like, they should show this to the world.
It was very artistic and
oh my gosh,
and enjoyable.
So now let's get on to talking about Toy Story 3.
Fine.
For real. It's so hard to sum up Toy Story 3, in short. I could talk to you about it all day. I don't want to say it was perfect in general because I can't vouch for anyone else, but as far as I'm concerned, and I think I speak for both of us on this one as well, it was perfect. Literally perfect.
Just what we wanted. We spent weeks planning about how we're going to go see it, and we decided to watch both movies before going to see the actual showing of Toy Story 3. And discussing it while we were watching the first two, we were actually a little worried because we set our expectations very high. It's been a long time waiting. And we were just expecting to
there was certainly a possibility. There was a possibility that it could be messed up and not be as good as we were expecting. Just because it was 11 years later didn't mean that it was going to be, what we were praying for. Thankfully, it was.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just said, we had very high expectations. Obviously, I mean, I imagine that everyone did. I was very pleasantly surprised to see that our theater was packed with kids our age, pretty much.
Waiting for it, we waited there a long time for the movie to start, and when it actually did, it just
felt like surreal.
It was very surreal. Yeah, I was going to say that. I couldn't believe that I was about to see it, and as soon as I saw that Toy Story 3, I couldn't believe it.
It was just, the place erupted.
It felt like a dream.
Right off the bat, the story.
Andy goes to college.
Andy's going to college to get dropped off at daycare. That's the major plot. It was a perfect place for the series to go.
It was a lot.
It was perfect.
And Eric mentioned that he personally liked the second one better because there was a lot more going on. There was a lot more subplots. And it was exactly the same with this one.
I mean, as much as I love the first one, obviously, the first one is the classic. The first one had, in my opinion, one straight storyline. The second one had multiple subplots, I thought, going on. And this one, again, had multiple plots,
And I think each character had their own story, whether
each character was
vocal,
important,
or internal. And I would say that nothing was left undone. The movie revisits the past, and it answers all your questions that you've had since the end of the second one. I left the theater satisfied. There were no questions that were left unanswered for me.
Absolutely satisfied, completely. More than satisfied. You gotta say more than satisfied.
Everything was touched upon. How could I be greedy for more?
Who could be leaving there asking, like, well, I wish it was a little better, or something like that. I can't imagine. I can't get into someone's mind that isn't just more than 100% happy with this movie.
I feel sorry for that person.
I feel so sorry for anyone that wasn't completely satisfied.
I can speak for both of us this time and say that we both had such a huge emotional response to this movie.
We didn't even say I was a mess. I am not ashamed to say at all that I was a mess.
We were both a little messy. He was a little worse.
Within the first, 15 minutes? I was crying pretty bad within the first 15 minutes. Not out loud, but, it was fogging up the lenses of my 3D glasses. We saw it in 3D IMAX, by the way. I highly recommend it. And also, of course, in the finale of the movie, that was off the edge. I couldn't hold it or anything. I didn't want to hold it, but I certainly wouldn't have been able to if I tried.
I mean, there was this Walt Disney quote that John Lasseter was attached to, if I'm correct. Walt Disney said that for every laugh there should be a tear. And, that was the best of both worlds.
That sums up the whole series of Toy Story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's hilarious. Did we say that?
Yeah.
We did say that?
It was very...
I don't think we said that, but the
well.
movie was hysterical. We were cracking up. We were rolling around on the floor. Not literally, but like you just said, with the quote, with every laugh there should be a tear. And, that's exactly how it was, so perfect. We're saying perfect a lot. Not that we shouldn't be, but, hopefully that comes across that we're saying the word perfect quite a bit.
Basically, I think perfect comes from the fact that we... what's left? I can't really ask for more.
And I just want to say right now that I hope that this is the final Toy Story movie. I mean, as much as I did not want this movie to end, I hope it's the last one because it's a perfect trilogy right now. Visually, wow. I mean, it's Pixar. What do you expect? But this movie was beautiful. It was gorgeous. I think gorgeous is actually the perfect word for it.
It's come such a long way.
Lots.
Toy
I gotta
Story
say,
being their first.
Oh yeah,
feature.
Since we watched both of them, in a row before the third one, it's just, jeez, they've come such a long way in the animation and everything. But I'm not even just talking about animation. I'm talking about just the vibrancy of the movie. Looking in the daycare, looking around the daycare, it was so colorful. Yeah. And so your eyes are just
yeah, a lot of the story was told visually, and that's
of course.
Sometimes that's the best way to do it. A lot of it was expressed through the face.
Oh, gee, there's so much expression in their faces. It's incredible. Their eyes. You could just look at their eyes. Even when they're in toy mode, you could see something in their eyes.
Yeah,
how is that possible?
There's a story being told, yep.
It's just unbelievable. Really quickly, the writing and the directing obviously is just...
strong.
Yeah. The writing was completely on par with what I would have expected, if not better.
For those of us who have been there since the first one, it didn't deter from the themes and intentions from the original.
Absolutely not. It made them stronger. It really, yeah, like you said, it didn't go away from any themes. It built on the themes that have been there since the beginning.
Another theme that I was pleased to see was family. It was very reinforced, it was more like Woody and Buzz actually grew beyond buddies, and now they're family.
Again, we will get a little more in depth with, some stuff because we can't go crazy here, but we'll talk about it more in the spoiler section at the end, which, like I said, will be announced, so don't worry. And now we'll move on to, I think, what we've been most excited to talk about. Acting. Should we start off with the main guys, or should we start off with Michael Keaton?
We'll get to him.
Obviously, Tom Hanks and Tim Allen are back, and they could tell that they just love this.
Oh, God, yeah.
Jeez, you could tell. Like I said, you could tell everybody's in love with Toy Story, everyone behind it. Also, Joan Cusack, I think she's fantastic. I love watching Jessie. Her little her voice is just, it's so, I love it.
Without making it depressing for some, Slinky, who was being voiced by a different actor because of Jim Varney's passing. It was a humble performance.
It didn't go over the top or anything like that.
I was also kind of worried that they were going to sort of write off
Slinky.
I
was thinking that too.
Or give him less lines.
Just because of that, yeah. But you know what? I don't know if they added lines, took away lines, or anything like that. It seems like he fit in perfectly, and it might as well. If you didn't know Jim Varney died, it would have been exactly like it was Jim Varney.
Yeah.
Which is exactly how it should have been. Now, let's talk about Michael Keaton. Oh my God. Michael Keaton. I honestly, I wasn't expecting Barbie and Ken to have such big parts.
Yeah, I thought it was a joke.
I thought it was a cameo.
It was a joke. Yeah.
I thought that Michael Keaton as Ken was just a cameo, and it was like, it's Michael Keaton, ha ha ha. But he was in it quite a bit. He was absolutely hilarious. But it's hilarious because I just kept imagining that it was Michael Keaton performing it.
And there's actually depth to
the character. Oh yeah, it's not just a BS thing. That's what I was very surprised by that. But Michael Keaton was just hilarious. Obviously it's the writing that's funny, but the way he did it, and just knowing it's Michael Keaton, it's like. It was just, we were just dying at everything Ken said in the movie. Michael Keaton, everything he said was hysterical. Also, one other little thing about Ken was the vague, well, actually not vague at all, very intentional homosexual undertone. Specifically,
the heels.
That's great. Someone else, of course, to mention, would be Lotso.
Lotso being played by Ned Beatty. He's very good.
Yeah, I thought he was great. It was very much just like Kelsey Grammer as Prospector. He completely, he came in, totally believable, totally lovable in an evil way. You know what I mean? Like as much, the Prospector was the bad guy, but I still love the character. Lots of Hug and Bear was the bad guy. Still love the character.
Mm-hmm.
He did a great job.
And he was
with
a
that.
bad guy, but you still felt for him.
There's other characters that we're going to talk about in the spoiler section, which, if I'm not sounding like a broken record yet, it's at the end. I just feel embarrassed. Toy Story 3 is an incredible finale. It's the exact finale that I wanted, and more. Like I said, it really, honestly, and more than I could have asked for in a finale to an already incredible series of movies that we grew up with. It was just perfect. So now, in case you didn't know, we're going to talk about some spoilers. So, if you have not seen Toy Story 3, I cannot stress this enough. Get out of here. Get out of here right now. Run as fast as you can. Go see Toy Story 3, and then come back, and we got a lot of fun stuff to talk about. So, here we go.
Okay.
Let's start right off with the intro.
The beginning?
Yeah.
Action-packed, and I think they wanted to do that. I think they wanted to test the technological advances, and I think it's just what we wanted to see, to a certain extent.
Absolutely. I wasn't expecting it. I definitely wasn't expecting it, because it was very much like the second movie's intro.
Cool.
Oh, it was awesome. It was much like the second movie's intro, but added with the fact that it brought the first and second together.
Yep.
Amazingly.
Almost word by word.
No. It was not almost. It was word for word. It was.
Yep. And then came the sentiment.
Then came the first round of tears. And of course it started off with what song?
You've Got a Friend in Me.
Perfect song. And then, wipe away the tears, here goes the movie.
It's just like an example of the emotional roller coaster that this movie takes you on throughout.
Then references. References to previous movies and stuff like that. We were on the lookout.
Yeah.
We were absolutely, we were on the lookout. What was the first one? Was it the big one, the first one that we noticed?
Sid?
I couldn't believe it.
I honestly believe that nobody else in the theater saw it.
I felt like nobody laughed or anything like that. When the garbage man, it was clear, it was Sid. It was clearly Sid.
I wasn't too clear.
It was clearly
he wore the
Sid.
jacket.
He had the exact same shirt on.
There
was very obvious.
There was two signs that you could tell that it was Sid.
Well, my sign that I noticed, because mine is much more obvious than yours.
Yes.
My sign that I noticed was the T-shirt, obviously. His sign
was a tune that he
drummed on the mailbox.
That he drummed on the mailbox, and then he hummed it in the first one. It went like do 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 do.
He hummed it as he was coming home in the first movie, as he was coming home from Pizza Planet with Woody and Buzz. Yeah, he hummed that little tune. I didn't notice it. I didn't remember it, but he specifically remembered it. So those two things. I mean, that's just come on. That's amazing. Pizza Planet truck.
Yep.
We specifically remembered because we remembered that the back of it said "yo" and all that. So
and it was in the second one, just as in the first one.
Yep. So that's fantastic that they kept that going. I love that they keep the things in. The ball was in it, of course. I mean, that's in every movie, so that was, of course, in it. The claw was clearly brought back in an amazing way.
And another great reference was used during
non-Toy Story reference.
Non-Toy Story reference was the
jail scene.
The jail scene from one of my favorite movies, Cool Hand Luke, when Buzz is talking about
talking to the inmates,
talking to his prisoners about the rules, and if you don't abide by them, you spend a night in the box. And I thought that was
cool.
Cool Hand.
I like it. It was also nice to see Zurg at the end of the movie, of course, but I have to say that there was one character that I would have loved to see. He could have had a small cameo.
Stinky Pete.
The Prospector, yeah. I was really expecting, honestly, for the Prospector to have a small cameo, being written on or something like that, because at the end of it, obviously they're setting up that he's going to be tortured by this, by this new owner, I guess. But it would have been just, the little sparkle on the...
So that's what happened to him.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining about it. I just think it would have been really, really funny if they threw him in there. For all I know, he is in there. We just haven't seen him yet, and he's in the background. But as of right now, I don't know. So I would have loved to see Prospector in there.
While we're talking about characters left unmentioned, there was a short segment in the beginning where Woody mentions some toys who've
left the room.
Who've left the room. There was Etch, Bo.
Stop you right there. That was very upsetting. Bo Peep. The look on Woody's face was just...
I'm emotional.
That's insanely intense. That Bo Peep was taken at some point or thrown out or something. I can imagine, after a while, a little Bo Peep doll would grow out of that.
I think yard sale.
Yeah, but I mean, Woody, it's just, you think about it, it's been like years have gone by. Woody hasn't gotten over it. You know, the look on his face was like, she's been gone for how long now? I mean, at what point did Andy grow out of Bo? Well, first of all, why did he have her in the first place? I think about it. Whatever. But now, you know, I'm thinking about it now. I'll probably think about this and cry hard later. But
it was
that's a real thing. There is that you know, it's like that was his girl, and he's never gonna, you know, he'll never get over.
The look on his face was heartbreaking.
Oh, jeez, I don't even want to think about it. Let's move on. What else?
But there were some characters who weren't mentioned, who I think they deserved it. Well, most importantly, RC.
Absolutely.
Another one is Lenny, the binoculars.
He had speaking lines in both movies, probably, or at least the first one, for sure. You know, I can understand the Magic 8 Ball not being mentioned, but Lenny, the binoculars, probably should have been mentioned. And if you're going to go with that, the fact that he had speaking lines, also Mr. Spell. They didn't mention Mr. Spell. He had sort of speaking lines, technically. They did mention Etch, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But not, for some reason, we really love the character. His name is Rocky Gibraltar. Probably have no idea who we're talking about, but as soon as we say what he looks like, you'll know who it is.
He's the wrestler.
The little wrestler guy.
The yellow... He had the yellow
and the Johnny Bravo hair.
And the Johnny Bravo hair.
That little guy, you know, he wasn't in this, obviously, and they didn't mention him. I mean, understandably. That's getting in depth. Wonder where he's at. Probably sitting behind doors when he shouldn't be. So yeah, obviously not important that they weren't mentioned, but I think that it would have been very easy to just mention them quickly, a couple of them. But unimportant, obviously, so it's not a big deal. Moving on to characters that were in the movie, new characters. Like we talked about lots of Huggins Bear, and we talked about Ken. They were fantastic. But also, we have to say the baby. That baby was adorable and horrifying.
Yep.
Exactly. At different times. And speaking of horrifying characters, the monkey. The monkey, I feel like I'm going to have nightmares. When he was, like, hissing at Woody, that sent chills down my spine.
Wide-eyed.
Oh my god, that was everyone in the theater. I mean, the girl next to me was, like, crying almost. She was terrified, and it really was scary.
It was pretty scary.
But the baby was a fantastic character. It's funny because from the poster and from the trailers, you wouldn't think that the baby's going to be a big character. You think it would be a joke.
Yep.
But the baby was a great big character. That was hilarious.
On the swing?
Oh my god, on the swing. That was just that was so I'm really excited to see this movie again. Thinking about it is making me so excited. Also quickly, the toys in Bonnie's room, the new toys that were introduced, those were very funny. And I was actually wishing that they'd have more time. You know, from the trailers you would have thought that they'd have more time on screen, but no. But the thespian one, that was hilarious. And of course the Triceratops. Yeah, you specifically going in said you wanted to see the Triceratops for whatever reason. But yeah, I like the Triceratops too. So every new addition was great.
Getting back to the story, it's getting closer to the end of the movie now. I expected an emotional response.
A very emotional ending, obviously.
Up here. And but I wasn't prepared for a lot of the things that happened.
I was legitimately terrified at the end of this movie. Well, they've seen it, so we can talk about it. The incinerator. It's really hard to even put into words what I was feeling during that scene. Because I'm not going to lie, and I imagine that you said you felt the same way. I honestly was thinking that they might
just
kill everyone. I was honestly thinking that everyone might die. So you can imagine, I mean, saying that I was crying at that point is just obvious. But I really was not sure if the toys were going to make it out of this, which is unbelievable, because in the other movies you're like, oh, of course they're going to make it out of this.
Yeah, and you know, the filmmakers, they have so much power over some of us.
Mm-hmm. And
to kill them would have wrecked me.
I would have been very upset. I probably would have never been happy in my life ever again, but would I have respected it? I would have accepted it. I would have had a whole other thing to say about it. I would have said it was, you know, they literally stuck together till the end. They went out together, you know, again, like my major theme obviously was love. You had family was your, you know, a major theme, all kind of tying together. And I think it would have been, obviously, it would have been a very powerful ending, a very upsetting ending. I would have disliked it just because I didn't want him to die, but I wouldn't have disliked it from, you know, a movie standpoint. I wouldn't have left and been like, that was crap. Certainly not. I don't know if that sounds ridiculous to some people to think, you know, like, you guys really thought the toys would die, but I honestly swear to God, I really was not sure if the toys were going to make it out of this one.
I guess that's how invested we are.
My heart is racing right now just thinking about it. I'm not going to lie. Jesus. I think it goes without saying that was just an incredible scene, and my heart is still racing. It's kind of hard to talk.
Yeah,
God, I feel pathetic.
Very dramatic.
But thankfully, they were saved from the incinerator. Did you hear the music cue when you see the claw? It was like, oh my god, that whole scene was just. There's no words to explain that scene. The whole thing was out of control. Couldn't believe that the bear didn't press the button.
I was threatening the bear from my seat.
Yeah, he was like, you pushed that button. I swear to God, you pushed that button.
That gives you the chance to see how
much a better person Woody is.
How much of a hero he really is.
He really is.
And that's what's so great about they're toys. They're toys of heroes, like a cowboy and a space ranger.
Cadet, yeah.
And they really are. They really are as
heroes,
as heroic as they're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just great. Like, you can actually look up to these characters, even though they're plastic or stuff.
They're not plastic to me, Paul.
Yep.
Let's move on from that to the big finale that, of course, had to come.
You didn't know how it was going to end. Like, how could they possibly be, like, a good ending? Like, Andy can't play with toys.
He's not going to play with toys for... Yeah, exactly. Like, you're not going to take him to college with him. They're going to go in the attic somewhere where they're going to go back to the daycare.
I don't want to see Woody separated from Buzz.
The guys, yeah. I mean, I was thinking that was going to happen, and I was like, this is terrible.
And I didn't want to see them in the attic either.
Nah.
So, like, what could be done? And then Woody...
What did he write on the note? He wrote the girl's address, I guess?
I love the fact that they didn't show...
I love the fact that they didn't show the note. When he was getting his car, though, do you think he thought something somehow?
I think that
it kind of seemed that way. I thought, honestly, I thought I saw... There was, like, life in Woody's eyes when he was looking at him at the end. Like, you remember I said to you, I actually said to you, I was like, look at the eyes. And it was like, I think it was almost like they dilated slightly in the sun. And I was like, did I just see that, or am I going crazy? I could be going crazy. I don't know. But, I mean,
there's like a kinetic thing.
Andy knows. He's got to know. Clearly, we are very emotionally attached to the Toy Story series, as well as all the toys. So when he reintroduced all the toys to the girl, Bonnie, that was just like, that was...
I knew there was something to that character, because she was very sweet. And
oh yeah, she was adorable. Like, she was very much like Boo in Monsters Inc. adorable. You know what I mean? Like, they have the adorable girl down. Pixar's got it perfect.
And Woody seemed happy after he was with Bonnie for that one day.
Yeah, because he was getting played with. You know what I just realized that we didn't really think about at the beginning was the one line that like immediately set the tears off was Rex. He held me. God, how many years have they been in the toy chest? And when he's on the phone. And he's like, hello, and...
Yeah, it looked like Woody wanted to say something.
Oh, my God. It's tough because I really could talk about this all day. I really could, like, just discuss this all day. But we really need to wrap this review up.
In summary, we're both extremely proud of the years that we've been committed to this story. I can honestly say that it's going to be one of my most memorable movie-going experiences.
Although we've said it, obviously, many, many times, probably overkill at this point, it stands to say one more time, Toy Story 3 was, as far as we're concerned, our perfect movie. Perfect finish to the Toy Story series.
And again, Pixar, thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving us this great emotional ride that's lasted 15 years. And it's been important to me. And thank you once again for making us feel important.